Can you really learn French while you sleep? If you are watching French learning videos on YouTube, and I know you are since you're here, you probably have seen these videos. They all have the title Learn French While You Sleep. They're 8 hours long and they have hundreds of thousands or even millions of views. And like many of my students, you probably have been wondering, does that even work? How does that work? How can that possibly work? Is that a complete scam? How does this video have hundreds of thousands or even millions of views? So in this video, I'm going to answer this question. It's a question that many people have been asking me. Can you really learn French while you sleep? If so, how does that work? More importantly, how can you increase the chances of it working for you? So if that sounds interesting, keep watching. My name is Angel Preto. I am your French coach, and on this channel, we talk about what it really takes to learn French and become a fluent French speaker. So first, let's look into why do you see those videos? How come those videos are everywhere? Each time you're looking at something relating to French learning, boom, in the corner, you will see a Learn French While You Sleep video if you're anything like me. Is it because it works? I would say that's not really related to how well it might work. What you need to know is that on YouTube, the algorithm values watch time over everything else. So if someone is watching a video for 8 hours while they're sleeping, the YouTube algorithm thinks, wow, this got to be an incredibly good quality of video because people watch it for 8 hours. I mean, imagine in comparison, the average video view is like maybe 2 minutes long or 3 minutes long, depending on how long the video is. But 8 hours, wow. So basically, this is a genius marketing trick on behalf of the video creators. They have found an amazing way of making the YouTube algorithm work for them because, of course, if your video is being watched for 8 hours while any other video is being watched for 3-4 minutes, that is an insanely good videos according to the YouTube algorithm. But actually, the people aren't really watching those videos. They are just sleeping all the while. So it's a great way to trick the algorithm. And to be honest, as a YouTube creator, I am absolutely admirative of what those creators have done because it is an amazing trick. If any of you creating those kinds of videos are watching this right now, kudos. I absolutely applaud what you're doing. It's a great way to get views on YouTube, if not to teach French to people. So this is amazing YouTube wise. As a viewer of this channel, what you want to know is not how to get your videos to be found on YouTube. You don't care about that. What you care about is learning French. So does this work? That is a really good question, which we are going to explore right now. So the question is, does it work? And my answer basically is, it might. The reason why I think it might is because learning French is mostly a subconscious process. I would say about 80% of it is subconscious. Why 80%? Because that's about how much of your life is subconscious anyway. So a lot of your learning will actually happen in your brain while you're not particularly paying attention. And what you need to know is that your subconscious mind is always awake. So basically, when you're asleep, your subconscious mind is still awake. When you are dreaming, this is your subconscious mind doing its little thing while you are sleeping. And many people believe that dreaming is actually the subconscious mind reorganizing its thoughts and memories. It is technically possible to learn things while you are sleeping. And even in one of my videos, I have been mentioning that it could be possible to practice your French while you are dreaming if you are a lucid dreamer. So that's a little bit of a more advanced topic, but just to say that I am not discounting the possibility that yes, it might very well work. Now, what's the catch? As I have shared in this video, among others, learning French is a 4-step process, right? And the steps are sell, act, im, safe, selection, activation, immersion, and safe practice. I'm sharing the steps very quickly here. You can check out the video where they're explained for more details. But selection is you selecting what you are about to learn. Activation is when you do some exercises or you do any kind of thing to tell your brain, okay, we are learning this now. Immersion is the subconscious part of the process where your brain is actually learning what you have selected and activated. And safe practice is when you practice speaking French and therefore you turn your knowledge into active knowledge that you will be able to use in real life. So if we look at those learning French while you sleep, well, basically those tracks are made of French sentences, often with English translation, right? It's basically someone reading a phrase book to you. So in the best case scenario, what will happen is that a phrase book will be downloaded into your brain. But if you look at those 4 steps, Those two steps here in the middle are pretty much covered, right? Some things are activated and you're getting some immersion of some sort because the phrases are being read to you while you sleep and your subconscious is certainly hearing it. So those phrases are probably going to be remembered. Here, the first step is missing. You haven't actually selected what you're learning. So that could be an issue. You want to make sure that the track you select actually contains some sentences that are valuable to you. Otherwise, you're doing all of this for nothing. I know you're asleep and you're not de facto wasting time, but if you could use it to be efficient, that would be better. So selection is really important. Then activation and immersion should be more or less covered by the track. I don't think that's nearly enough, but that's part of it. But this step here, the safe practice, is completely not covered. So what will happen in the best case scenario when you use these tracks, if they work very efficiently, is that you will have some knowledge that is also known as passive knowledge. So passive knowledge is everything that you are able to understand and remember, but you are not able to actually speak this out. And unfortunately, I have a number of students who are in this situation that they have learned a ton of French with books, with CDs, with phrase books, or maybe with Learn French While You Sleep tracks, but they are not able to speak because the only way to become able to speak is to speak. And I'm sorry that my advice sounds really obvious and it's almost like a tautology, but the only way that you can get to speak is to speak. So you cannot hope to go to sleep, listen to a track, and wake up one day and speak French. It's not possible because you need to practice in order to make your knowledge go from passive knowledge, which you might get with a track, to active knowledge, which is the knowledge that you're actually able to use in real life. So this distinction is very, very important. I don't think it is at all possible to learn French while you sleep with a track and wake up one day being able to speak French. If you are not including some active practice, whether you're asleep or awake, it doesn't matter, you are not going to be able to speak French. So that is really important. And I genuinely don't think that it is possible to make someone practice French actively in their sleep without any sort of biofeedback mechanism. I'm pretty sure it is technically possible to do it, but it requires a lot of equipment. It requires tracks that will be created in this way, and it will require some medical supervision and the supervision of biofeedback experts, which by the way, I am not, and I don't think anyone making tracks on YouTube is, or if they are, they know very well that tracks on YouTube are not going to provide the same kind of impact that a biofeedback mechanism and a specifically made track would be able to provide for you. So that is something that you need to really take into account. You cannot just go to sleep, listen to a track and do nothing else and wake up speaking French. It is not possible. What can happen in the best case scenario is that after you have listened to those tracks during the night, you will be more able to remember your French vocabulary and the French phrases that you have heard in the night. So that could be actually a really good way to practice learning your vocabulary. You know that I recommend using a vocabulary notebook to learn your vocabulary. By the way, the video that explains this is up here. And for example, it could be a really good way to have a track made by yourself where you read your vocabulary notebook to yourself and you listen to it at night, because that would be a really good way to remember your vocabulary. Now, of course, that requires a lot of work. You will need to make a track for yourself, but that's basically the process that I keep explaining, where you have to select what you learn yourself, then activate it and immerse yourself and then practice. So you could have those 3 steps covered if you would make your own track or someone would make a track for you. But you would still need to practice your French in order to make the vocabulary go from your passive knowledge into your active knowledge. There is no way around it. Short of practicing in your dreams, which is very tricky to achieve, you will have to practice in your waking time. If you are using those tracks or anything to learn French, which will cause you to have more passive knowledge, the key is absolutely to include active practice. And I know this is the thing that has been missing a lot from the practice of many students. The way to include active practice is either in speaking. You can speak to someone, like for example, a teacher or a coach or a tutor. If you work one-on-one with me, you will spend a lot of time speaking to me, because I know this is like the big thing that many people just overlook. Or you can have a language exchange partner. That is a way to do it. If you live in France, of course, you should grab every opportunity you have to speak French. Or alternatively, a way to add some more active practice if you don't have someone to speak to is to actually write. I very often recommend journaling in French to my students in order to include the amount of active practice they have. Because when you have more active practice, whether in speaking or in writing, you will see that the verbs that or like the word that you know passively will start to become more and more active. So that is the idea. You want to have some words in your passive knowledge first and then transfer them into active knowledge through practice. Another thing I wanted to tell you about the possibility of learning French while you sleep is that this is basically a variation of the daily French bath, and you probably have seen this video or any other of my video where I recommend the daily French bath, which is basically listening to some French every day but not focusing on it. Of course, if you're asleep, you're not focusing on it, so this fulfills the criteria and it might as well just work. I would not recommend using only those tracks as a daily French bath just because they're typically just like a phrase book and it's not really real life French. So I would not recommend using just that as your daily French bath. But if you want to add it on top of an existing daily French bath, then you can totally do that. Another advantage of trying to learn French while you sleep is that you get to tap into different altered states of consciousness, which I definitely want to make more videos about because it's an absolutely fascinating topic. But while you sleep, basically your states of consciousness is completely altered since you're unconscious. And this also might help you to learn at different levels. So that's something that you could totally give a try. And tapping into altered states of consciousness to learn can be a very efficient way to learn French at a deeper level. So I would definitely recommend you to try it if you feel so compelled. Of course, it would be a lot better to have your own tracks either made by you or made by someone specifically for you. But since those tracks are free and it doesn't cost you any time, then you should totally try to listen to those tracks if you feel so compelled. If you do and you see any result or no result at all, please leave a comment. I would love to know what your experience is like with it. Or if you have done so in the past, I would love to read about your experience in the comment as well. In order to increase your chances to see results, remember to pair it with some mindful French learning practices such as the one I share in this playlist. They are all easy to put in place and they don't cost you much time either. So I will leave you with this playlist now and I will see you next Monday.